at you, Bill, like, who is that? And then we ride it and we say, you want to ride that again? Yeah, let's ride that again. So we just ride it again. And then each one of the parks has a private club. It's just for us. So these are like, nobody's even allowed to walk in there. Nobody's ever looked at it that's not a member of the club. And so you could eat lunch, dinner in there. You could relax in there. We have a contract that we're not allowed to snap pictures in there. We're not allowed to leave post about it. There's only 900 of us in the world. So it's a very, very exclusive club. So our kids had a blast this week, and we are heading home today. So I'm actually in one of our RVP's offices right now because they have great internet. So I said, let me not risk it at the resort. And I drove over here. I had an RVP. They're going to cross $500,000 in the next 90 days. And I asked them, hey, can I use your office to do the O&O Money Quest show? Yeah, absolutely. Come and use our office. So they were all hyped up about that. And one of the nights, I even ran a little training here. We were out eating dinner, and it was about 9 o'clock at night, and we were on the way home. And I had called him to ask him about using the office. And he said, yeah, well, right now we're in training. I said, you're training at 9 o'clock at night on a Wednesday night, like live training, like with a group of people? He said, yeah. I said, well, I'm going to drop in. And he was like, awesome. So nobody knew. I walked in, everybody went crazy. And I did an hour, and I got Olivia and Brady up there also to like talk about living a Primerica life. And I got my wife up there to talk about living a Primerica life. And so now it's a business trip, right? So I could write this crap off, right? I mean, I had a meeting, I'm running a Zoom, I got all these witnesses that I'm working, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to write this trip off after all.
I moved my life a great deal by the term, I'm going to do today what others won't. Because in Primerica, it's obstinate, I won't do that. People don't think they say that to themselves, but they do. So I'm going to do today what others won't, so I can have tomorrow what others can't. Talk about that, Omar, and how that's why this meeting, and I love in our prior conversation, you said, this is not a Primerica meeting today. We're not talking about Primerica. We're talking about money consciousness, and anybody can listen to it. So talk about that, Omar, and how you live your life doing things other people weren't willing to do, and you did them anyway.
Well, I had even a reason. I even had a reason not to do it because I stuttered terribly when I was new in the business. So just imagine a business where all you do is talk, and you're not able, to talk, right? So every word was a struggle. So every day I really wanted to quit the business. Like year one, I really wanted to quit every day because I just thought, I can't do this. I can't talk, and you have to talk in this business. And, but every time that quitting just entered my mind, I was like, man, what if I quit? What will life look like? I'm going to get a job. I'm going to live broke. I'm going to live week to week like everybody else. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to, like, all the negative stuff would just come in my head. And then I would start looking at positive stuff. But if I don't quit and I learn how to work this business and I grow a business, what will my life look like then? I'm going to be free. I'm going to be able to travel, give my wife and kids everything that they want. I could do whatever I want to do. So always the positive stuff outweighed the negative stuff. I talked the positive stuff in and talked the negative crap out almost every day for like a year one, where I really struggled and wanted to quit the business. And now 25 years later, I mean, it's crazy how time flies, Bill. I mean, 25 years in the business, I'm not a rookie anymore, I guess, right? And we live the dream. I mean, we're decorating our brand new house, and we're probably going to be $200,000 over budget. So we'll probably spend 800 grand decorating the house, Bill, 800 grand just in stuff in the house, you know? And we're having a blast decorating it. We're having a good time, and really doesn't matter. You know, you could do what you want to do after you've grown a business. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it. People, they get stuck at 80,000, 100,000, 120, 200 grand. They're just not willing to go do the work. They want it. They want to live the life we have, Bill, but they don't want to go do all the crap that you and I did and recruit the people and train the people and license the people and answer all their idiotic questions over and over and over again. But that's what gets you free. So,
You know, I think, Omar, a lot of people want to build a business. They want to be an RVP. They want to get the ring. They have not made the decision about money. And that's why the whole purpose of this call, not about Primerica and getting to new levels and all that. It's, have you made the decision to make money? How much? Like this morning when I wrote on my shower door, my financial goals, I set a limit. I even set a limit on that, by the way. I didn't put down $1 trillion. But talk about how you're here to make money, have money, accumulate money, and most people have never made that decision, and they still have a bad relationship regarding money. They still have things vibrating in their head from some person who judged them in society today. Who are you to judge me about how much money I should make and have? And that's exactly what we're. So how did you overcome that, and how did you make sure that you came here to make and accumulate money?
Well, I never viewed making a lot as a negative thing.
I'll be right back in a second.
Even though we grew up pretty broke, we were never negative about rich people. We never like said, oh, look at that guy driving the Rolls Royce. He's probably a crook. He's probably a jerk off, or nothing like that. We actually grew up in a home where we respected and looked up to wealthy people because we thought, well, if they're wealthy, they created a business that's valuable to other people, or they would not have gotten wealthy, right? The only way that you get wealthy is you create value. When you have no value to other people, that's when you make no money. Okay. When you have value to other people, when they value what you know, what you could bring them, what you could give them. Like, I mean, you look at the iPhone, right? The iPhone that everybody's got, right? Jobs created that, right? You're like, man, Steve Jobs was one of the richest men in the world. Well, he created something that everybody wanted. Okay. This guy, Elon Musk, created Tesla. He's the richest guy in the world right now. Why? Everybody likes Tesla. I don't personally like Teslas, but a lot of the world loves Teslas, right? So Art Williams created Primerica, right? And that's needed, right? And that's changed a lot of lives. So when you create stuff, that's when you get wealthy. And we just never viewed it in a negative way growing up. I mean, I never viewed making money. I never viewed wealthy people as negative, evil. We were brought up, to respect them and look up to them and know that if we worked hard enough, we could be them as well.
Tony, let me know when Hector's on. You let us know.
Coach Hector is on. He's been on for about a couple of minutes, sir. He's already on.
Well, but we'll go ahead and get started then. Again, the reason why we do this call is because I don't think you can train anyone to do this business or a business unless they're money motivated. And unless you solve that problem in your life, unless you fix that problem in your life, I don't care how many seminars you go to. I don't care how many books you read. I don't care how many videos you listen to. Money is going to either you use this system to create wealth, or you're not going to build this system. And so that's why we started this a few months ago. And Omar and I were talking, who could we have on here that would take us to new levels of thought regarding money and wealth? And very few people talk about this subject. And so when we were talking about it, the name came to my mind, Omar. He's not afraid to talk about money and having money and accumulating money. And he said, well, one of the first people we have to get on who talks like this is Hector. And so Omar, why don't you introduce Hector and ask him the questions that we're going to be asking him and get him started. Because, you know, last few years, Hector is one of the wealthiest in his company. And we need to find out what's going on in his head, in his money consciousness, to get us all the correct money consciousness we should have. So Omar, go ahead.
Well, Hector and I have grown a really great relationship over, I don't know, the past probably 10 years now. And the two people that have really influenced me the most in Primerica is Bill Orender, Hector LaMarque, and one more, Bobby and Red Buisson. Say those three are the people that have really influenced me the most. Hector didn't know me when I was new, but I ordered all his audio tapes and
everybody
really like learned and practiced what he preached, and it worked. It started working, you know. And then when I crossed about $500,000 in income way back in the day, I reached out to him on VoiceTel. I don't know, those of you guys that were around know what VoiceTel is. And so I introduced who I was. Hector, I'm Omar, and I stuttered my butt off when I did it, right? And that's after erasing it and re-recording it like 9 times. I still stuttered my butt off doing it. And I just wanted to let him know that he changed our life. And I wanted him to know who I was and that I crossed $500,000. I don't know what's that noise coming through. So anyways, and so over those years, we've grown a relationship, and you know, I love him. I love him as an older brother, not like a dad, because he's not old enough to be my dad unless he had me when he was 12 or so. But but anyways, I asked him if he would do this broadcast with us, and he said absolutely. And I explained to him, it's not Primerica meeting, you know, it's not about how to grow Primerica. It's about changing your mentality about money, where he's great at that. I've learned a lot what I know off of him. So please welcome everybody. Air applause to the great one and only Hector LaMarque. Hector, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. Great to be with you. You've become a really great friend, and I always say this because you're one of the best students. I don't hold back anything about how I built my business. I share that information with anybody who's interested in hearing it. I have a website, hectorlamarque.com. You can follow me on Twitter. In fact, you should follow Omar and me on Twitter. I post 100% personal development material on Twitter. That's all I do. So if you're interested in growing your thinking, because this is what this is all about this morning, is learning how to think like a winner, right? And one of those things is learning how to think about money correctly, and not push it away, but have it come towards you. And so it's nice to be on with you guys this morning.
So Hector's in Cabo right now on the west coast there, where the weather's beautiful, and he's got his ocean view right there. If you look right out there, he every once in a while, he lets me know. He says, Omar, this is the life you got waiting for you, buddy, right here. And he snaps pictures of his view in the morning, and it just drives me. Hector, talk about a little bit about how you grew up in your home and what you learned about a money mentality growing up as a young Hector LaMarque.
Well, I grew up the 5th of 7 children, and there's 9 of us with my mom and dad in a 1,000 square foot home. And my mom never worked. My dad worked 2 jobs. He worked in a factory, and he used to cut hair. He was a barber on the side at home. And my dad worked like 7 days a week, and I saw amazing work ethic. And my mom was an amazing, she was a magician with money, because we didn't make very much money, but she was in fact able to buy a home and pay that home off. And she's passed quite a few years ago, but they were in really great financial shape at the end. And they were very frugal. I've always been very frugal. And but there's nobody in my family, extended family. I come from a very large Mexican Catholic family, and there's no one financially successful. Everybody was, janitors, working construction, that sort of thing, working in factories. So I didn't have a personal example of success in my life. There's not one person that was financially successful that I knew personally. Everything I learned from reading. I'm a voracious reader. I've probably read over 1,500 books over the last 40 years. And I can't tell you how many different seminars I went, success seminars and audio programs I purchased and listened to over and over again. All these things, because I didn't have anybody to share that. I didn't have a mentor in Primerica either. So other than through from afar. And I think one of the things that everybody really should be focused on is growing themselves. I think most people just don't invest enough time in growing their things that they need to grow. There's a lot of different things in Primerica that you need to grow. Well, I know this is not really a Primerica meeting, but that helped me grow is I focused on growing my money mentality. I've read, countless books on investing and how to earn and how to make and how to be a money magnet, that sort of thing. And in terms also leadership and people skills and emotional intelligence and time management. I mean, there's so many different things that go into being successful. And I think people don't realize, unless you're fortunate to grow up in a family that's highly successful, where your parents are can teach you those kind of things, you're going to have to go search for that information independently on your own. And most people just never do it. Or they do it for a period of time and then they let up. I think it needs to be a lifelong search, where you never stop. Like I was talking about Twitter, I'm always reading something having to do with success. And when I tweet out the things I'm reading. That's what I'm doing, or things that have come up that I've done that have helped me. So I think you need to be thinking about and working on growing yourself. Because I think one of the reasons that people have a hard time with money is they don't feel worthy of making money. They don't feel like they deserve it. And I not only feel like I deserve money, I feel like I deserve a lot more than I make right now. And I mean that sincerely, because I put an enormous amount of energy in growing myself. I mean, I don't actually know anybody that's done more in that area than I have. Maybe there is, but I don't know that person because I do it every single day, 7 days a week. And so I do that because I want to feel worthy of making the kind of money. I mean, when you start making 100,000 a year to 500,000 to $1 million to 2 million, a lot of people, they plateau out because they know they haven't done the work. They know they don't feel worthy of it. And I think you need to grow yourself to feel worthy of doing well financially. So that's kind of how I grew up.
Hey, Hector, you had a buddy named Chris growing up. Tell them what you and Chris used to do when you were old enough, to drive, I guess, right?
Yeah. We're in high school, junior, senior high in high school. I had one of my best, well, at that time was my best friend. His name was Chris, and he's African American, Black, which he was. I'm Mexican, and we used to. He had a car. I didn't even have a car in high school, so I never had a car. But he did. He had an old beat up green Volkswagen, and we would drive. I grew up in Southern California, in Chino, California, and we lived about an hour away from LA or Westwood. And we used to drive into Westwood on the weekends sometimes. He had a friend that was a manager of a restaurant there called Alice's Restaurant, which is a really great restaurant. We used to go there and they used to comp us. And then afterwards, we would go drive around Bel Air and Beverly Hills and down Rodeo Drive and all that. And I always thought, and I was telling Omar this last night, I was thinking, all these people, you look at these mansions and this massive wealth and all that. I thought some of these people, not everybody was, inherited that money. Some of these people had to figure it out. And I'm going to figure it out. I mean, I remember vividly, like it was yesterday, thinking that thought. And I didn't even know at that point that over 80% of the people that become millionaires in our country are self-made. They are. So the some people inherit it, but the percentage of people that inherit money versus people that make it happen is very small. And so I thought that, and I started searching, and that's why, you know, I think the reading part is really important. I think most people don't read nearly enough, or don't listen to the audio programs that they need to. You need to change your thinking. Your thinking has allowed you to have the whatever level of success you currently have. But if you want to grow your level of success, you have to grow your level of thinking, your level of awareness relative to how to make money, or how to become successful in a business, or, you know, how to do better. Most people's awareness level is just very low. When you see people having lots of problems, one thing you know that people that are struggling is they have a low level of awareness. That's why they're struggling, because it's really all about how you think. 100%. You know, there's that. I mean, I always recommend this book because it's one of the first books I read about 15 times. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the title says it all. It's Think and Grow Rich. It's your thinking that's gotten you where you are right now. You can't blame outside things like your mommy and your daddy, or, you know, whatever. They weren't fair because I'm Mexican, or I'm black, or I'm a female, or none of that stuff. None of that stuff is true. The truth is your thinking is why you are where you are. Period. End of story. You want to get better, you better grow your level of thinking and awareness.
Hey, Hector, you had brought up that Chris was black, you're Mexican, I'm Cuban. I know when I grew up, you know, I never viewed it that way. You were telling me how you didn't view it that way either. You didn't view like, well, I'm Mexican, and so normally Mexicans work on lawns, so that's what I have to do, lawn work. Or normally Cubans are broke, so I have to clean houses or whatever, right? That's one of the areas I think that really hurts a lot of people. Even if you're a white guy, if you grew up in a lower income white neighborhood, right, you might think, well, you know, that's just the way it is, right? So if you could bring up a little about your views on that, where, you know, it wasn't who you were.
Well, yeah, you know, the thing about your ethnicity or your gender, or even where you grew up. I mean, what family you were born into, you don't have anything to do with that. I don't have anything to do with being, you know, Mexican American. I had no say in that, or being a male. It just was my lot in life, if you will. That's who I am. So I never saw myself. I don't really think of myself in terms of my ethnicity at all. I never have. I speak Spanish. I'm not embarrassed about being Hispanic. It's great speaking two languages and all that, but that's not who I am. I see myself as a highly motivated individual that works very, very hard and went after what he wanted and made it happen. And that's it, period. So I think a lot of people get hung up because, you know, when I was growing up, because I was always a dreamer, and I would talk about being successful in my family even. And I'd say things, and they'd say, oh, you know, people like us, we don't own businesses, we don't become millionaires. And I just rejected that thought. Because that's a thought, right? That's a thought that leads to action, right? Or inaction, if you will. Okay. And so I rejected that. I reject that completely, because if you look around, you can use that excuse if you want. You can be a victim. And this country is made up of a lot of victims today. And I reject victimization. I am not a victim. I have a way of thinking and an ability to do things, and so does everybody else. If you look around in our business right now, all the very top people, not all of them, but the very large percentage of the people that are blown up and making $1 million a year, growing like crazy, are ethnic. I mean, just look, it's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's kind of exciting. All it means is in this world, your ability to produce is the key. You've got to learn how to produce, how to get results. And most people aren't focused on results. You know, so you've got to be really, really results oriented on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. One of the things I think that's helped me become successful financially is I did this for decades. Okay. I would never go to bed at night, ever, without planning every hour out of the following day. I just wouldn't. I was a discipline I developed, and I would never, ever, go to bed before I planned out. Because see, the people that win big in anything in business, they have a plan, and not just like a 5 or a year or 2 year. You have to have a daily plan, a weekly plan, a monthly plan, and you got to work that plan. And if you're not managing yourself hour by hour, if you look at highly successful people, they're on a very strict and specific schedule every day. Which is why they're so successful. And I think you need to learn how to do that, how to be very, very conscious of your time management. Because the one thing, whether you're poor or you're wealthy, we all have 24 hours a day, period. And the story, nobody has more, can't make more, doesn't matter how much money you have. And the ones that really succeed financially are the ones that manage that time better than the people that don't.
Well, it's like, that's why cash is like flows your way, because you're a pro. You never chased making money. You chased greatness. You chase,
Right.
Okay, I'm going to be the best Hector that I can be. And in whatever line of work, whether you were in the jewelry business years ago, then later Primerica, and you had other businesses also, right? You were always just working on you, knowing that once you were good enough at whatever you were doing, that the money would flow to you, right? I mean, is
Yes,
that?
yeah. I have a saying, I'm going to take credit for it because I've never heard anybody else say this before. Money follows greatness. It does, because if you look at whatever field, whether it's Tom Brady or whether it's Steve Jobs or whether it's anybody, right? Oprah Winfrey, and the list goes on and on. You can think about sports, you can think about entertainment, you can think about business. It doesn't really matter. But the one thing that all the people that are super successful and super wealthy have, they're great at what they do. They're really great. They're not okay at it. They surpass what other people do in that area. And so all I've ever focused on, I always have a money goal. Of course, I think you should have money goals, income goals every month and every year and all that sort of thing. Those are very important to have. But in the end, you should be focused on being great at what you do. And most people in our business are chasing money, and I never chase money. I chase being great at what I do. And I knew intuitively, I just knew that money would come my way. You become a money magnet when you become great at what you do. Not good, not okay, not satisfactory, but great. If you're really, really serious about making more money and becoming financially successful, you should be mega focused on being great with you. I have 2 children. I have my daughter is Janae, my son Dak, and I talk to them about this almost every day. I mean, really, you need to be focused on being great at what you do, no matter what that ends up being. If you're great at what you do, you don't need to worry about making money. You'll make money. My daughter's now, she went to Stanford. She is a director and a screenwriter. She's very successful. Her and her husband both. My son, Dak, went to Wharton Business School. He now has his own hedge fund called LaMarque Atlas, and he's very successful, doing fantastic. And even today, I still talk to them about it. I tell them, just keep getting better at what you do. Just keep focused on being the best you possibly could be at what you do. And as a result, they've both become very, very successful. And that's what I talk about that all the time. But most people don't do that. Most people are looking for an easier way, and there just isn't an easy way. It's putting in the time, putting the hours. And it's kind of like, to become world class at something takes 10 years and 10,000 hours, right? That's what it takes. And so you got to be focused like a laser beam on becoming great. I can't impress upon you, enough how important that is, that you do that. And you'll start attracting better and better people, higher quality people, more motivated people because like attracts like. So you're attracting into your life what you are right now. Period.
Right.
I mean,
and the reality in Primerica, and in the world, most people just do enough to get by, right?
Right.
And once they earn what they need to make to pay the bills, pay their nut, whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm good. In our business, if a rep has a big month, they make more money than they normally make, then for the next 90 days, they're like missing in action, right?
Right.
And it's because their mentality about making money is different than ours is. Bill, would you want to ask Hector any questions about that? Because you guys, like, we've all read Napoleon Hill, but I know you've read it like 89 times. So I know you have like some questions there you want to ask him.
Hi, Hector. What role
Hi, Bill.
was Jan playing in all this? And of course, you've read the books. She probably hasn't.
Right.
How did you guide her to being in concert with your thinking? And talk about that relationship building and how that helped or had to slow you down a little bit.
No, it didn't slow me. She's a very bright girl. She is the valedictorian of her high school class. She's sharp as a tack. And so, no, I didn't really have, we just talking about, she hears me talking about, like I'm talking to you all right now. I've talked like this for, 40 years. So it's not me. So just really just sharing the information that I learned over the years, even if she didn't read that, I still talk to her about it all the time. And she's highly motivated, like I'm highly motivated. I think we are very, very focused on getting financially independent and debt free. And so we're on the same page there. So I didn't really have to, do too much selling on that point. She wanted this thing. And one of the reasons we've been married for 43 years is because we're on the same page. We have the same values and goals in life. And so I was fortunate in that respect. I found the right person for me. And we've done, even today, she's the CEO, our CFO of our business. She handles all the financial stuff, like dealing with tax people, attorneys, all that. She does all that, and she knows the numbers better than probably just about anybody in Primerica. Every first thing she gets up in the morning, she's on POL and she's looking at all our numbers and who's done what, who's not doing what, and she's all over it.
That's exactly what I wanted to jump in there and say. Jan knows the numbers more than I know the numbers. I mean, Jan's probably in the room right now listening to you. So if she is, hi, Jan, I miss you too. So, yeah, that's a great question. A lot of times husbands and wives are not on the exact page. I think though, if the leader that's working whatever business they're in brings results home, right, then it's a lot more likely to get your partner listening to you more versus if you're not doing what you need to do, right?
Exactly. I think what happens, and I tell people all the time, they go, oh, my wife isn't supportive or my husband isn't supportive. I said, well, go make money. The reason they're not supportive is they're not making any money. You got to make money. For me, like my wife was not supportive when I first started. She did not want me to go full time. She was not excited. But what I did is I started, here's $1,000, here's $2,000, here's $3,000. I just bringing home checks, right? Because I was closing sales and making things happen. And then little by little, she was seeing results. And so she got on board. And most of the time when people's spouses aren't supportive is because their spouse that's doing the business isn't getting results. And which I talked about before, you gotta get results. I personally think you want to make more money, you need to become a professional salesperson. One of the reasons I have a lot of people doing very well in our business, that make big money. And the primary reason why I was able to do what I did in my business is because I was fanatical about teaching people how to be professional salespeople. That's all I focused on in the beginning of and I still today, I think you need to be a professional sales, because everything about business, everything about life is sales, even something as silly as, honey, where are we going to go to dinner tonight? Or what movie are we going to watch? Right? Or what vacation are we going to take? Everything sells. If you really want to be successful, I believe you need to become a master salesperson. I think that's what Art Williams was, a master salesperson. He wasn't good. He was a master. I remember when I first went to his home in Georgia, and I went to his library, and his library was full of all the books that I had read, all the same books, all the same personal development books. The whole library was full of personal development stuff. And so I went, oh my God, that's why he's so successful. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to be successful. I mean, that's how I thought. That's what I saw. And I think you need to have that kind of focus.
And even
Hector,
though art, go ahead.
Hector, let me ask a question. What about adversity? Because there's everyone thinks that in life that the successful people never had adversity.
Right.
And you and I have known each other long enough where our careers have been interrupted many, many, many times by
Yes.
all
Life.
the things we went through and life and company stuff too.
Yeah, sure.
But
Absolutely.
talk about how you handled adversity when it came and how you plowed through that. And everyone has to go through it.
Yeah, there's no getting around it. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have disappointments. I mean, it's part of being a human being. It's part of being alive. It's not the disappointment. It's not the challenges. It's your reaction to those challenges that make all the difference. I'll give you a perfect example. When I first decided to do Primerica full time, I had a fine chocolate store in Westwood Village. I opened this business. What Jan and I did. This is when I was still in the jewelry business. I opened this business because I was looking for a way to become financially successful back then. This was like 1979 or 19, the late early 80s. Because I didn't get involved in really going in Primerica until 84, but in 79, 80, 81, I decided to open up a fine chocolate store. And I got into business with the people that manufacture the chocolate. I didn't have a lot of money. I actually put my investment was $20,000, and I did all of it on credit cards because I had no cash back then. Okay, so I borrowed that money to do that, and I opened up the store, and the owners of the manufacturers put up the chocolate, and so we were going along, doing okay, making some money a little bit, not a lot, but I thought I could make maybe a couple $100,000 a year if I got this thing going, and this was a long time ago. And then I found Primerica, and I decided, and after I found Primerica, I met like Mike Sharp and some people, and I saw that these people were making big money, a lot more than I thought I could make in the jewelry business. So I decided, I went to my partner, which is the manufacturer, said, like, I really want to sell my business back to you. Would you be willing to buy it? And they said, yeah, absolutely. So we did an agreement. And so it came time for them to pay me my $20,000 so I could pay my credit cards off. And then they said, I don't have the money. And then I ended up suing them. This is how I was in Primerica going full time. I had already gone full time at this point. And I went, that was like a tragedy for me because I was paying about $700 or $800 a month, like another house payment, which is a humongous amount of money to me at that time. And I went, oh my God. So I sued them, took about 1.5 years or 2 years. I won the suit and they filed bankruptcy. I never got my money. That was my start in Primerica. When I went full time, that's what happened to me. So my reaction to that was that first month, I wrote 24 personal life transactions. And the second month I wrote 36 personal life transactions because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I could have just crawled up in my closet and in a fetal position and felt sorry for myself, or I could get busy. And so it's your reaction to that. And from that, my business took off and things started to happen. And the rest is history, but it was really the reaction to that setback that made the difference. And you're going to have maybe it won't be as dramatic as that or whatever, maybe it'll be worse than that. I don't know, but your reaction is everything. And it's, again, your reaction has to do with how you think.
Everything does. Every single thing.
Everything.
If you want a good marriage, if you want to raise great kids, if you want to grow wealth, if you want to grow a big business, everything revolves around the way you think. And that's all you ever talk about, really,
right.
is the way you think, because that's really the key. I would tell you, most people in Primerica, they got screwed up way of thinking, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can we, or what's one thing that they are able to start doing where they start thinking about making money versus I need to get triple credit on the next contest, or I need to win a stupid t-shirt or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was new in the business, every month I knew what I wanted to earn. And then I reverse engineered it. Like I need to make this much cash. So that means I need to write this much in premium, personal and investments personal. And in order to do that, I need some recruits that I can train in their warm markets. So I reverse engineered everything. I never had a flat goal of I want to do 20-20. Why? I don't know. I just want to do 20-20 because that's what everybody tells me to do or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
What's one thing we could help them with because they're out there listening, right?
Sure.
That can change their mentality a little bit.
Well, the thing I've always done is if I can't get a person on a personal development track where they start reading the right material, listen to the right audios and all that sort of thing, there's pretty much, you can't do anything about that person. You can't help them. So I think the biggest thing for me, why I've never gotten frustrated in my business, or I don't really get frustrated with people ever, is because I don't work with people who aren't motivated. So, I'm not a motivator. I've never been a motivator. I don't try to motivate people. I never do that. If you know this, I usually don't talk a lot about my houses or my vacations or my cars. And I don't do that because it doesn't do anything for anybody. Maybe it excites them for a little while, but the best way to get somebody to become, to get them motivated, to get them moving and doing the right things is to get them thinking the right way, get them reading the right material, get them to change the way they think about everything. And I know I'm being repetitive like a broken record about this, is because it's so important. It's everything. It's the key. So one of the reasons I've had a lot of success with people is I'm a big proponent of them working on themselves. And I'm asking them, did you read that book? Did you listen to that audio? Did you do this? Did you do this? And I'm holding them accountable to doing the right things, to doing what I did. So I'm always talking about what I did and how I've become successful. And most people don't do it. The vast majority of people don't do it. But the ones that do, like you, Omar, I mean, I don't even overwrite you. I haven't made an opinion on you in my career.
Yes,
but
you have made a lot of money off me because I work with your guys too.
No, that's right.
Your
Okay,
RVP.
so you're right. So, but what I do is I teach everybody the same stuff. And the reason I don't get frustrated is I already know going in that most people aren't going to do it. So why put energy in an area where it's not going to bear any fruit? I just don't do it. So
if I'm your new recruit, tell me what's one thing that you want me to read. Like what's one book, not like Napoleon Hill's book is not an easy read. You got to read it once or twice, to get it. So if I'm a new recruit and you want me to read that one book, I'm probably 10 pages in, like on what the hell is this, right?
Yeah.
What's an easier
then you're
book
probably not the right guy then.
Yeah, you think?
That's what I think.
Okay.
I think most people, if they're really serious and want that they should read a book like that. There's a ton of books that they could read. Okay. I think that's one of the top books. I think John Maxwell, Developing a Leader Within You, is one of the top books.
That's an easy one to read.
Developing the leaders around you. But if people don't make a commitment of doing that, then they're not going to get better. I mean, if the reason most people don't become successful because it's not easy. It just isn't. It's a challenge. It's everything about it. Everything about me becoming successful in Primerica was very difficult. I'm a very shy person naturally. I'm not outgoing. I'm just not. Never have been. I was the kind of guy when I was growing up, if I knew you and I was in the mall and you're walking towards me and I saw you before you saw me, I duck into a store to avoid talking to you because I don't want to know what to talk to you about. And I'm not exaggerating at all. If you would have known me before. So everything about this thing and speaking and teaching and field training people and all that stuff for me was very, very challenging for me mentally. Okay. So if a person's not willing to put forth the effort, then I don't have the time for that person. That's simple. And when I started, matter of fact, what happened my first year in Primerica in the business, I made $18,000, then I made $35,000. My third year, I made $86,000. That year, my third year in my business, is the year I've discovered you can't motivate people. And I stopped trying to motivate people and I spent all my energy only with motivated people. And my income jumped from $86,000 in 1988 to $409,000 in 87 and $855,000 in 80 and $1 million and $2 million, $3 million and on. But all that came because I finally realized you can't motivate people. And I focused all my energy on teaching people how to do it, how to be successful. from the thought process to the actual how to present, to how to prospect, how to set appointments, how to overcome objections, how to recruit somebody to a kitchen table, how to get them in the field. That's all I put all my attention on. And I stopped trying to motivate people. And one of the things that drives me nuts at events is that's all you hear from the stage is stories and motivation. And that just never sat well with me. It drives me insane, actually. I don't like it.
I know it does. You know, it's weird because this is looking more like a Primerica Zoom meeting, but the reality is all the stuff you're talking about, though, is what drove you and brought you the money, right? So
exactly.
You were very conscious of it. It wasn't a fluke thing. You were conscious of greatness and improving and working on you. And you knew if you worked on you, the greater you could develop, the more cash flow would roll your way. When you started to make money, let's say $500,000 or so, did you change anything when you crossed $1 million in 1988, 89? Okay. Or like what was your view on money then? Has it changed?
No, it has not changed at all, because for me, money has always just been a tool. I mean, in the business, for me, it's always simply been a tool to create a life, a certain kind of life that I wanted to have. You know, like my goal was always to build a business that would allow me to live as if I'm on vacation all the time.
I've heard that a million times.
Because you know, and this, I'm telling you, this is what drove me, so you can get a better idea about who I am. You know how when you go on vacation, you know, you get up in the morning, and like for me, I like to play golf. So for me, a great day is have a breakfast, go play golf, come back, have lunch with the family, and then maybe go to a movie, and then go to a great dinner at night. That to me is a perfect day. I love that that's what I like to do. And so my goal was to develop a business that put off passive cash flow and have enough money saved and invested that there's enough passive cash flow from that I can do whatever I want every day of my life. That was my goal. And I accomplished that almost 20 years ago. So I've been living like that for a very long time. And you know, some people, maybe they don't understand me. They go, well, how come Hector doesn't come to these events and all that? Because I don't want to. I don't want to. That's not why I built my business. I built my business so I could get free. That was the whole reason I did it. And so that's my life. And I've done what I set out to do. And I think everybody needs to do that for themselves, whatever that means for you. My goal is not your goal. Your goal is going to be your goal, but I think you need to do that. And I give back in my own. That's why I do Twitter. That's why I have a website. If you want information from me, you want to follow me, you want to hear what I have to think or say about anything, I'm not in a cave somewhere. I'm sharing that information every single day of the year, literally every single day of the year. So, you know, you just have to decide you want to access it or not. That's up to you.
Hector,
I know. Go ahead, you go, Bill.
Thank you. I know Omar's got his own story, but you talked a lot about delayed gratification and how you were lean and mean, and Art Williams talks about that too. And when you were making tons of money, you're still living in an apartment. Why were you still living in an apartment? Why didn't you start enjoying life a little bit better? And why? How long did it take?
Well, I was living in a modest home. I never lived in an apartment, but when I went, I think that was Omar, right? Didn't you live in an apartment, Omar? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lived in a little tract house, you know, in Southern California. I think I paid $115,000 for that house. That's what the price of that house was when I purchased it. And when I started making money, like 400 and 800,000, I still lived in that tract home. I didn't buy upgrade my lifestyle, and because my goal was to be debt free and financially independent. It wasn't to have a big house. It wasn't to drive a Mercedes Benz or a Rolls Royce or whatever. That was never my goal. My goal was to be free. Because freedom to me is the real brass ring. That's the key for me. That's for me. I only wanted to be free. I don't like people telling me what to do. I can't stand it. One of the reasons I started my own business is I don't like anyone telling me what to do. I'm my own boss. You know, I have a wife who's my only boss, right? So, but I don't like it. In fact, when people try to tell me what to do, I do the opposite. I don't want to do that. So, I was really frugal because I was always nervous in the beginning, Bill, that if something happened and the business went away or something, I wanted to make sure I had myself set up. So I never did anything and spent any real money until I had over $1 million in cash saved. This was a long time ago. I was very nervous about that. I wanted to make sure if something happened, or maybe if I died, and I had 2 little kids right at that time. I wanted them to be okay. And so I focused on being an investor and a saver, and putting myself in a position where I could be, if as well as I could be bulletproof and not need to make money. And I found is when you do that, when you don't need to make money, you make a lot more money. I was telling last month I had an amazing month, not just in Primerica. I had a great month in Primerica. But I had a great month outside of Primerica, way bigger month outside of Primerica than I did in Primerica. I made 4 times what I made outside of Primerica than I did in Primerica last month. So, and and I've been in Cabo since, the end of for 3 months. Okay. So I haven't been in the United States for 3 months. So that I did that without even being anywhere where I had to do anything. And that, folks, is unbelievable. It's powerful. So hey, look, making money is really not that difficult. It really isn't once you learn how to do it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm the one, Bill, that was actually renting the apartment when we had 800 grand rolling 12 cash flow, and we had $2 million cash put away. Then I said, okay, maybe we should go on a house, at this point, right? So one thing that I did with Danielle is we made it a game, like every month, how much money could we invest? Right? We lived on a budget. Even when we were making that kind of cash, we had a budget. Now, it wasn't like, like very strict, but it was kind of a guideline budget of where we would spend money. We would work very hard to not waste it so that we could invest it, because we knew the younger we were able to accumulate wealth, we would have the years working with us and growing that wealth. Did you and Jan ever play games like that where, like, you were trying to break a record, how much you can invest per month, or like anything like that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, absolutely. Every year. I mean, we always had a savings and investment goal at the beginning of the year, what we were trying to do. We had an income goal and then a savings and investment goal. And I think you need to have that. I mean, I think my goal was to get my business where my overhead was 10% of my income. That was always my goal. I didn't always hit that, but that was my goal, to try to, so that means you stay lean and mean, and you're saving a lot more than you're making. So right now, my overhead is very low relative to my income. It's probably less than 10%. And that was always one of the things you try to do is keep our overhead really low so that our growth, because the real telltale sign of a successful business is the gross profit.
Right.
Gross profit, after expenses and all that, right? The gross profit. So, or what you net out actually. But
right. If you earn 1 million and you blow $1 million on your business and living expenses, then
that's a terrible business.
That's like having a job.
Exactly. So my thing was always to try to, have my profit of my business. That's the real value. Because if you're ever going to sell your business, that's the value of the business, right? What's, people base purchasing a business on the net, not on the gross income.
Right.
So yeah, that's what
Hector, a lot of folks think that I can get to a point where my income's here, then I can stop. I don't have to think about my business anymore. But apparently you're thinking about your business, and Jan is every day.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's your a way of life. And talk about how you can't ever get to a point where you stop. I have enough, and you can never have enough. And so many people are critical of that. How much is enough? How do you fight that?
Well, I mean, I think for me, Bill, is I have a purpose with my life, because people have goals. A goal is a very good thing, but a goal is a finite thing. At some point, if I want to make 100,000, I make it, I made it, right? So I think what people need to have is a purpose for their life, not just a goal. And so I went to, in college, I have a degree in psychology. I was going to be a clinical psychologist. And one of the reasons I wanted to be a clinical psychologist is because I could recognize back then how very few people had high self-esteem and felt good about themselves. It's a rare thing to run across anyone that has a genuinely good feeling about who they are. And I wanted to be a psychologist so I could help people with that, right? And so I did an internship when I was in college, and I was working with young kids and kind of like junior high school age kids, and they were having problems, and I would sit and counsel them for an hour once a week, and then they go back into their dysfunctional families, and it was like trying to plug a dike with with your finger. And so I realized that that wasn't, and I knew I had to get a PhD in order to make any real money. And I was married, I had a baby, another one on the way, and I just needed a job. And I decided I didn't want to do that. So my purpose with my Primerica business is the same as it was before I got in, the same as it was when I was going to become a psychologist. My whole thing in building my purpose and purpose in Primerica is to help people feel good about themselves, help them grow their self-image, and help them do that. That's what I do. That's why I talk about personal development so incessantly, because I know that was the key for me, and I know it's going to be the key for you who are listening to this. If you can start growing your skills, growing your knowledge, feeling more self-confident, you're going to change the way you feel about yourself, and you're going to start feeling more worthy of being successful. So I talk about this all the time for that reason. And so my goal, my purpose is infinite and never stops, right? Because there's always more people to help with that. And so for me, every day I have a purpose to get up and help people with that, with the way that they think, so they can start feeling better, they can start feeling more confident, having more success. So I think that the real key is for everybody is to do, what's your purpose with your business? I know you have goals. I can tell you my goal is to live like I'm on vacation, but I also have a purpose. And so it motivates me every day to keep growing myself, to grow other people, because you can't teach what you don't know. You can't do it. You can't teach what you don't understand. You can't teach that. So you need to grow you so you can help other people. You can't teach somebody how to close a transaction if you don't know how to close a transaction. You can't teach somebody how to recruit somebody if you don't know how to recruit somebody. You have to become great at those different things. So I think you need to figure out what your purpose is. And that's why I don't have a problem every day keep going, and why I keep thinking about my business every day and growing my business, because we have 12,000 or 13,000 agents now. We're doing I don't know, 4 to 5 million a month in premium, and with all our securities combined, probably about 40 or 50 million dollars a month in securities. And I think that's small, honestly. I think relative to what's the potential is out there, it could be 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 times bigger than that. But you need to help more people for that to happen. You need to be more focused on helping more people, and that's what I have always done. That's what I'm going to continue to do. I can't ever see a time of retirement and stopping. I don't know why.
Hector, it's crazy. Like, people that really don't know you, like, they all think you are retired, right? It's funny. You and I talk about it all the time. And I'm like, Hector helps a lot of people. He doesn't help me. Well, if you do 0 and 0, there's nothing he can do to help you. You got to actually do some stuff, right? And through your website, I mean, if you are doing 0 and 0, that's a great way to get to know Hector, is like, listen to those audio tapes and learn it like I did. And then eventually, when you actually are winning and you're doing what you told them to do, it's amazing how you're so open to like helping people, even not in your own organization there, which is amazing. And I let everybody know that wherever I go, because people don't know you the way that I know you. And so, they just think you're a unicorn, like, oh, there he is, he's alive. And talk about, because I know you don't like to like bring this up a lot, but people want to know, man, what is it like after all the years that you've accumulated all this wealth, and talk about some stuff that you could do that most people dream about doing, like your private jet trips around the world, because people, it's not bragging about it, it's just they need to know it's available.
Yeah,
They
it's
need to know,
available.
oh man, I could do that, I never heard of that before,
Right.
to like get them going a little bit.
Well, yeah, well, we were talking about the little last night. We like to travel. We really like to spend our money on experiences versus things, So I have, 3 nice homes, but that they're all the stuff I have, um, from a real estate. I paid cash for all this. I don't have any debt at all. I have 0 debt, not 1 penny of debt do I have, and they're all paid for. And but we don't buy a lot of stuff now, but we spend our money on experiences. And so, we've been on 4 basically private jet tours. They're around the world, like where what they do is they take um, I don't know, 747, and they outfit it with like 50 first class seats, and that's how many people usually go on those trips. And then you go for a month, and you spend 2 or 3 days at different places all over the world. I've done that 4 different times, and I've been to 70 countries, and it's an amazing way to travel because they take care of everything. It's
Like it's red carpet treatment
everywhere you go.
everything
Yeah.
taken care of. And
Yeah.
and what does that cost? 200 grand, $250,000 about?
Somewhere between 150 and $250,000 per trip, something like that. But and everybody on those trips are, what I found out? They're all business owners. There's nobody on those trips that aren't business owners. They're all own businesses.
And they all probably have the right mentality towards money,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're not-
they're not special, by the way. I think a lot of people have this misconception
That's a
people
good
who are
point.
wealthy are special people. They're not. I mean, I know a lot of people who are wealthy. I know billionaires. I know people that are super wealthy, and I'm a golfer, so I play a lot of golf with people like that, and they're just people. What they've done is they've become very, very good at what they do, whatever that happens to be. I mean, I've got a friend who's super wealthy, and he had an injection molding business, right, plastic business, and became super wealthy doing that. And he sold that business for a boatload of money, and he's building a 17,000 square foot house on the water here in Cabo right now. And but if you were to meet him, he's just a nice guy. He's just okay. He's not brilliant. I play golf. I talked to him. I asked him questions, and he just was really good at that. And so he became great at what he does, like I mentioned earlier. And so don't be awed by people who are doing well financially. I'm just really good at my Primerica business, and I've done well at it, just like a lot of you on the call have done. Like Bill's done, like Omar's done. So we're not special, but we made a decision to be great at what we do, and we've done well financially. It's simple. Any of you can do that. Everybody can do it. So don't be intimidated by successful people. They're not special. Maybe they're special at what they do, but that doesn't mean they're great at everything. Okay? He's a terrible golfer, by the way, but he's a great guy.
Well, Hector,
and all right.
can you think back to a series of events or moments when you finally made up your mind that you're going to be free?
Sorry, I couldn't.
The series of you ever have a moment, or is this a process? Talk about that.
Well, I've always been very motivated. Even in high school and all that, I've always a motivated person. I was a good student. I played sports. I was a good athlete. when I found our business, I didn't want to be good anymore. I wanted to be great. And what happened that really pushed me over the edge is I had just opened up a new store. I was in the retail jewelry business with Rick Susie. That's where I met Rick. That's how I found Rick. And I had just opened a new store, and I was working like, 70 hours a week, crazy hours. And then my son, Dak, who was turning 5, we were going to have a birthday party for my son, and our families were going to get together and all that. And I asked my boss, the owner of the company, his name was Steve Robbins. He owned a company called William Pitt Jewelers. Now it's called Robbins Brothers Engagement Ring Store. And I asked him if I could take off early, because normally I work evenings because that's when most of the business was done. So I said, I need to get off at 6 o'clock. I need to get off 3 hours early because we're having a birthday party for Dak, my son. He's turning 5. And he said, no, you can't take that off. That's when we make most of our money, and I need you to be there to make sure that we hit our numbers. And I said, really? Serious? He goes, yes. I said, this is Dak's birthday. He's going to turn 5. Hopefully he goes, I'm sorry, but you can't. You got to work. When that happened, Bill, I snapped. I went, oh my God. I was livid. And I said, I don't care what I have to do. If I could work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, I will never work for somebody again as long as I live. There's no way I'm going to let somebody dictate if I could attend my child's birthday party, their softball, baseball, soccer game, play they're in, or I'm not allowing that to happen. I'm going to find something that's going to allow me to be my own boss and be free. That was the snap. That was a snap that took place. He's 42 years old now. Okay, that was 37 years ago when that happened, right? And I think, maybe, I don't know how many are you out there in that situation, or in a situation where you're still having to answer. I can't imagine ever having a job and having a boss. It's frightening to me. I don't know how people could do it. Because, and I think most people don't really venture and try to start their own thing because they just don't believe in themselves enough. Mm-hmm. I have a saying, it's kind of maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a little cold, but people that have jobs are people that really don't believe in themselves. And that's what I think. And I wasn't going to have it anymore. And I snapped and made that decision. I think, we have an opportunity to do whatever we want. And I think there's only one life you live. It goes by fast. I mean, I don't know how long you've been in the business, Bill, but how many years now? 40 something?
Yeah, 47.
Okay, so 47 years. How fast did that go by?
Oh,
like
man.
a blur, right? I mean, it just went by like and I'm looking back, and it's going by faster every day for me. And so, we don't have time to waste. You need to get busy doing what you need to do to create the life that you want to have.
Hey, Hector, one last question. What do you tell people when they tell you money's bad? If all you want is money, that's all you ever think about, because they've criticized me for years. Mm-hmm. People I know, all you talk about is money and making money and this mm-hmm. and that. How do you address that?
Well, the thing that most people don't understand about money is a tool, and money isn't even real, by the way. This is a little out there, okay, for some of you might think it's out there, but it's not. When you go to the gas station, you have a credit card. You put your credit card into the pump, right? And then you fill up your tank, and then you take it out. But where's the money? There's no money. It's X's and zeros or whatever, right? There's no real money. Even when you hand somebody here, let me see. You have somebody a $20 bill, right? This is just paper. What is that? It's an agreement between you and whatever the service or product you're buying. They're saying, I agree that that's worth what I'm giving you. But what is it? It's paper. And almost everything you're spending is credit cards, right? Credit cards, you don't even see money. There's nothing. It's all in the ether, if you will. So these crazy feelings that people have about money don't make any sense. Money is simply a tool, a way of creating a life that you decide you want to have. And so, and by the way, if you think about this, why does God want money? Why does every church, every synagogue, every mosque in the world always asking people for money? They want your money. If it was bad, would God be asking for your money? It's ridiculous. It's not bad. It's a tool. You know, that's all it is. And so for you to have those silly feelings about them, you don't need to. And money is an exchange of one value for another value. That's all it is. Okay. So you want to make a lot of money, provide a lot of value. There's two ways to make a lot of money, right? Money flows to those people who solve other people's most pressing problems. Think about that. Money flows to those people who solve other people's most pressing problems. In our business and the business that we happen to be in, a problem is people have too much debt. They don't have enough protection for their family. They don't have a plan to get financially independent. We come in and we solve that problem for them, and they give us money. We exchange. It's an exchange. And so if you want, there's two ways to make a lot of money: solve a lot of problems. Like I have a big organization, we do thousands of transactions a month. And so because we do so many, I make a decent amount of income, right? Or you can solve big problems. There's another way to make money where you solve really big problems, okay? But you need to start looking at problems like a godsend, because they are. It's your ability to solve those problems is where your value comes in. And so why do you get really great at what you do? Because you're going to be much more capable of solving people's problems. Why did you want to have me on the call today? Because I have the potential to solve a problem for you, right? That's basically it. That's what people are looking for. Why do people ask me for advice, or ask Bill for advice, or ask Omar for advice? Because we have the potential to solve a problem. And so you need to start looking at money as simply a tool. It's not good or bad. It makes you more of what you are. If you're a jerk, you become a bigger jerk. If you're a good person, you become a better person. Simple as that.
That's exactly the way that I address it. And I learned that off of you years ago on an audio tape. And I've been using it ever since. Hey, I just want to let you know we appreciate your time. I know it's 8 o'clock. Well, it's 9 o'clock there now, actually. So, and you're up early anyways. I know you're a riser. But we appreciate the time and your energy.
One last thing. Tell us how HectorLaMarque.com. That's your website. Yes. And people wanted to follow you on Twitter.
At Hector LaMarque.
What do they do?
At Hector LaMarque. That's my handle. Just my name. It's an at symbol, and Hector LaMarque. And then on my website, Bill, I created that website so that I wouldn't have to travel and go speak for people. That's the reason I created that website. I don't make any money on it. It's just enough to keep the
people don't have the idea on this call how iconic you and Jan are. You've never been the flavor of the month. You've been consistent. You've been thoughtful. You've not changed, in my opinion.
No.
People have no idea how you lit this company on fire back about 86, 87, 88. And everybody had to look for a hero, and you and Jan were the heroes. And look what's happened. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that, Bill. Very, very much. Well,
all right, brother. We love you. You have a great rest of your week.
Go tear it up.
Hello, okay?
Go make and save money.
There we go. Thank you, Hector. Omar, our next call is going to be April the 9th at 9 o'clock Dallas time, 10 o'clock your time. Hector, travel